Welcome to our exploration of methods in behavioral studies. Behavioral studies focus on understanding how and why people and animals act the way they do. Researchers use a variety of scientific methods to observe, measure, and analyze behavior in different settings. In this video, we'll guide you through the most common and effective research techniques used in this fascinating field. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just curious, you'll gain insight into how behavioral scientists gather and interpret data to draw meaningful conclusions about behavior. Let's begin our journey by looking at the foundation of behavioral research. One of the most fundamental approaches in behavioral studies is observation. Observational methods involve watching subjects in their natural environment or in a controlled setting to record behaviors as they occur. This technique allows researchers to gather authentic data without interference. Observational studies can be structured with specific behaviors being tracked or unstructured, where all actions are noted. The goal is to capture real-life behavior patterns which can then be analyzed for trends or anomalies. Observational methods are especially useful when studying children, animals, or situations where direct questioning isn't possible. Naturalistic observation is a specific type of observational method where researchers study subjects in their everyday environments without any manipulation or interference. This approach is valuable for understanding genuine behaviors as they unfold in real life. For example, a psychologist might observe children playing in a park to study social interactions. The key advantage here is ecological validity. The findings are more likely to reflect real-world behavior. However, researchers must be careful to remain unobtrusive so as not to influence the subject's actions. Participant observation takes things a step further by having the researcher actively engage with the group or individuals being studied. This method helps researchers gain deeper insights into the context and meaning behind behaviors. For instance, an anthropologist might live within a community to better understand its customs and daily routines. While this approach can provide rich, detailed data, it also requires careful balancing to avoid bias and maintain objectivity. Participant observation is especially useful in social and cultural studies. Controlled observation is conducted in a structured environment, such as a laboratory, where researchers can manipulate certain variables. This method allows for greater control over external factors and helps establish cause and effect relationships. For example, a psychologist might observe how participants react to specific stimuli in a lab setting. While controlled observation increases reliability, it may reduce ecological validity since the setting is artificial. Researchers must weigh the benefits of control against the potential loss of natural behavior. Case study method involves an in-depth investigation of a single individual group or event. This approach is particularly useful for exploring rare, unique cases that can't be replicated in a lab. Case studies provide detailed qualitative data and often use multiple sources of information, such as interviews, observations, and documents. While the findings may not always be generalizable, they can offer valuable insights and generate new hypotheses for further research. Survey research is a widely used method in behavioral studies for collecting data from large groups of people. Surveys can be conducted through questionnaires, interviews, or online forms. They are efficient for gathering information about attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. The design of survey questions is crucial to ensure clarity and avoid bias. While surveys can reach many participants quickly, they rely on self-reported data, which may be influenced by social desirability or misunderstanding. Designing effective questionnaires is a key part of survey research. Good questionnaires use clear, concise language and avoid leading or ambiguous questions. They may include a mix of open-ended and closed-ended questions to gather both quantitative and qualitative data. Highlighting the questionnaire with a small group before full deployment helps identify confusing items and improve reliability. Well-designed questionnaires are essential for collecting accurate and meaningful data in behavioral study. Interviews are another important method in behavioral research. They can be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured depending on the research goals. Structured interviews follow a set list of questions, while unstructured interviews allow for more open conversation. Semi-structured interviews combine both approaches. Interviews provide rich, detailed data and allow researchers to probe deeper into participants' thoughts and experiences. However, they can be time-consuming and require skilled interviewers to avoid introducing bias. Experimental method is central to behavioral studies, allowing researchers to test hypotheses by manipulating variables and observing the effects. Experiments are typically conducted in controlled environments to minimize outside influences. Participants are randomly assigned to different groups, such as experimental and control groups, to ensure fairness. This method is powerful for establishing cause and effect relationships, but ethical considerations and artificial settings can be limitations. Experiments, researchers manipulate the independent variable to observe its effect on the dependent variable. The independent variable is what the researcher changes, while the dependent variable is what is measured. For example, in a study on sleep and memory, the amount of sleep is the independent variable, and memory performance is the dependent variable. Understanding these concepts is crucial for designing effective experiments and interpreting results accurately. Random assignment is a technique used in experiments to ensure that participants are equally likely to be placed in any group. This process helps eliminate selection bias and increases the validity of the results. By randomly assigning participants, researchers can be more confident that differences between groups are due to the experimental manipulation rather than pre-existing differences. Random assignment is a cornerstone of rigorous experimental design. Control groups are essential in experimental research. Control group does not receive the experimental treatment and serves as a baseline for comparison. By comparing the outcomes of the control group with those of the experimental group, researchers can determine the effect of the independent variable. Control groups help rule out alternative explanations and strengthen the validity of the findings. Field experiments are conducted in real-world settings rather than in laboratories. This approach allows researchers to study behavior in natural environments while still manipulating variables. Field experiments offer higher ecological validity but can be harder to control. For example, a psychologist might test the effects of a new teaching method in actual classrooms. While field experiments provide valuable insights, researchers must be prepared for unexpected challenges. Longitudinal studies follow the same individuals or groups over an extended period, sometimes lasting years or even decades. This method allows researchers to observe changes and developments in behavior over time. Longitudinal studies are particularly useful for studying development, aging, or the long-term effects of interventions. However, they require significant time and resources, and participant dropout can be a challenge. Cross-sectional studies examine different groups of people at a single point in time. This method is efficient for comparing behaviors or characteristics across age groups, cultures, or other variables. For example, researchers might compare stress levels among teenagers, adults, and seniors. While cross-sectional studies are quicker and less expensive than longitudinal studies, they can't track changes over time within individuals. Correlational studies investigate the relationship between two or more variables without manipulating them. Researchers use statistical methods to determine if variables are related and how strongly. For example, a study might examine the correlation between exercise and mood. While correlations can suggest associations, they do not prove causation. It's important to remember that other factors may influence the observed relationship. Archival research involves analyzing existing records or data sets to answer research questions. This method is useful when direct observation or experimentation is not possible. Researchers might use historical documents, medical records, or government statistics. Archival research can provide valuable insights into trends over time, but the quality of the data depends on how it was originally collected. Meta-analysis is a statistical technique that combines the results of multiple studies on the same topic. By pooling data, researchers can identify patterns and draw more robust conclusions. Meta-analyses are especially valuable in behavioral studies, where individual studies may have small sample sizes or conflicting results. This method helps clarify the overall evidence and guide future research direction. Ethnography is a qualitative research method where researchers immerse themselves in a community or culture to understand behaviors, beliefs, and social dynamics. This approach often involves long-term observation, interviews, and participation in daily activities. Ethnographic studies provide deep, contextual insights but require significant time and cultural sensitivity. They are commonly used in anthropology and sociology. Focus groups bring together small groups of participants to discuss specific topics or issues. A moderator guides the conversation, encouraging participants to share their thoughts and experiences. Focus groups are useful for exploring attitudes, perceptions, and group dynamics. They provide rich qualitative data and can reveal insights that might not emerge in individual interviews. However, group dynamics can sometimes influence individual responses. Behavioral experiments are designed to test specific hypotheses about behavior under controlled conditions. These experiments often involve manipulating a variable and measuring the resulting changes in behavior. For example, researchers might test how different types of rewards affect learning. Behavioral experiments are powerful tools for uncovering the mechanisms behind actions and decision-making. Quasi-experimental designs are similar to true experiments but lack random assignment. Researchers still manipulate variables, but participants are not randomly placed into groups. This method is often used when random assignment is impractical or unethical. While quasi-experiments can provide valuable insights, they are more susceptible to bias and confounding variables. Single-subject designs focus on the behavior of one individual or a small group over time. Researchers introduce an intervention and observe changes in behavior, often using repeated measures. This method is common in clinical and educational settings, where personalized interventions are tested. Single-subject designs allow for detailed analysis but may have limited generalizability. Behavioral coding involves systematically recording and categorizing specific behaviors observed during a study. Researchers develop a coding scheme to ensure consistency and reliability. This method is often used in observational studies, where behaviors are broken down into measurable units. Accurate coding is essential for analyzing patterns and drawing valid conclusions from observational data. Sampling methods determine how participants are selected for a study. Common techniques include random sampling, stratified sampling, and convenience sampling. The choice of sampling method affects the representativeness and generalizability of the findings. Random sampling gives every member of the population an equal chance of selection, while stratified sampling ensures specific subgroups are represented. Convenience sampling relies on participants who are readily available. Validity refers to the accuracy and truthfulness of research findings. Internal validity assesses whether the study accurately measures what it intends to, while external validity considers whether the results can be generalized to other settings or populations. Ensuring validity is crucial for producing trustworthy and meaningful results in behavioral studies. Reliability refers to the consistency and repeatability of research findings. A reliable study produces similar results under consistent conditions. Researchers use various techniques such as test-retest reliability and inter-rater reliability to assess the stability of their measures. High reliability is essential for building confidence in the results of behavioral studies. Ethical considerations are paramount in behavioral research. Researchers must ensure the well-being, privacy, and informed consent of participants. Studies involving vulnerable populations such as children or individuals with disabilities require special care. Ethical review boards evaluate research proposals to ensure they meet ethical standards. Maintaining ethical integrity protects participants and upholds the credibility of the research. Informed consent is a fundamental ethical principle in research. Participants must be fully informed about the nature, purpose, risks, and benefits of the study before agreeing to take part. Researchers provide clear explanations and answer any questions participants may have. Informed consent ensures that participation is voluntary and based on a full understanding of what the study involves. Confidentiality means protecting participants' personal information and ensuring that data is kept private. Researchers use codes or pseudonyms instead of real names and store data securely. Confidentiality builds trust between researchers and participants and is essential for ethical research practices. Breaches of confidentiality can harm participants and damage the reputation of the research. Debriefing occurs after a study is completed. Researchers explain the purpose of the research, answer participants' questions, and address any concerns. If deception was used, the true nature of the study is revealed during debriefing. This process helps ensure that participants leave the study with a clear understanding and no lasting negative effects. Data analysis is a critical step in behavioral research. Researchers use statistical methods to summarize, interpret, and draw conclusions from the data collected. Techniques range from simple descriptive statistics to complex inferential analyses. The choice of analysis depends on the research question and the type of data. Accurate analysis is essential for making valid inferences and advancing knowledge in the field. Descriptive statistics help researchers summarize and describe the main features of a data set. Common measures include mean, median, mode, and standard deviation. These statistics provide a snapshot of the data and help identify patterns or outliers. Descriptive statistics are often the first step in analyzing behavioral research data. Inferential statistics allow researchers to make predictions or generalizations about a population based on sample data. Techniques such as t-tests, ANOVA, and regression analysis help determine if observed differences or relationships are statistically significant. Inferential statistics are essential for testing hypotheses and drawing broader conclusions from behavioral studies. Qualitative data analysis involves interpreting non-numerical data, such as interview transcripts, observations, or open-ended survey responses. Researchers look for themes, patterns, and meanings within the data. Techniques include coding, thematic analysis, and narrative analysis. Qualitative analysis provides rich, in-depth insights into behaviors and experiences that numbers alone can't capture. Triangulation is the use of multiple methods or data sources in a study to increase the credibility of the findings. By combining different approaches such as observations, interviews, and surveys, researchers can cross-verify results and reduce bias. Triangulation strengthens the validity of behavioral research and provides a more comprehensive understanding of the topic. Replication involves repeating a study to see if the original findings can be reproduced. Replication is a cornerstone of scientific research, helping to confirm the reliability and generalizability of results. When studies are replicated successfully, confidence in the findings increases. Replication also helps identify errors or biases in the original research. Every research method has its limitations. Observational studies may be subject to observer bias, while surveys rely on self-reported data that can be inaccurate. Experiments may lack ecological validity due to artificial settings. Recognizing these limitations helps researchers interpret findings cautiously and design better studies in the future. Mixed methods approach combines both quantitative and qualitative research techniques in a single study. This approach allows researchers to benefit from the strengths of both methods and gain a more complete understanding of behavior. For example, a study might use surveys to collect numerical data and interviews to explore participants' experiences in depth. Mixed methods research is increasingly popular in behavioral studies. Advancements in technology have transformed behavioral research. Tools like eye-tracking devices, wearable sensors, and computer-based experiments allow researchers to collect more precise and detailed data. Online surveys and virtual interviews make it easier to reach diverse populations. Technology enhances data collection, analysis, and the overall quality of behavioral studies. Data refers to the analysis of large and complex data sets, often collected from digital sources like social media, sensors, or online platforms. In behavioral studies, big data allows researchers to identify patterns and trends across vast populations. While big data offers exciting opportunities, it also presents challenges in terms of privacy, data management, and interpretation. Behavioral genetics explores the role of genetics in shaping behavior. Researchers use methods like twin studies, adoption studies, and genome-wide association studies to investigate how genes and environment interact. This field helps explain individual differences in behavior and contributes to our understanding of complex traits like intelligence and personality. Animal studies play a crucial role in behavioral research. By observing and experimenting with animals, researchers can gain insights into fundamental processes that also apply to humans. Animal studies help us understand learning, memory, social behavior, and the effects of genetics and environment. Ethical considerations are especially important in animal research to ensure humane treatment. Summary: behavioral studies use a wide range of methods to explore the complexities of behavior. From observation and experiments to surveys and big data analysis, each method offers unique strengths and challenges. As technology advances and new techniques emerge, the field of behavioral research continues to evolve. By understanding these methods, we can better appreciate the science behind human and animal behavior and look forward to exciting discoveries in the future.